All right, everybody. All right, so here's the question. What if the greatest gift that we could give the women in our lives was permission to be new? So I'm going live a second time. I had a moment where I lost connection earlier. And I think there was maybe 10 minutes or so where you couldn't hear me. And, that doesn't sit right with me when I realized that because, for me, I interpret that as all right, so the enemy is trying to um, silence my voice, right? Because I don't believe that stuff happens just because. So, as I stated, the question is what if the greatest gift we could give the women in our lives was permission to be new? So, y'all, I'm going to anchor this in the word before we kind of dive in to what this all means, to what this is referring to. Um, and we're going to anchor it in the book of Isaiah 43. Let's see, 43, we'll start at verse 18. And it reads, "Forget the former things, do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the desert and streams in the wasteland." So, y'all, that was Isaiah 43:18 through 19. So the question that we have before us is, what if the greatest gift we could give the women in our lives is to give them permission to be new? Y'all, this word says, do you not perceive it? Do you not perceive it? Do you not perceive that there is a call to see people differently? Right? It doesn't mean that you have to understand it, but you don't have to test it and challenge it. But y'all, there is a call to see people differently because we got to understand that this word in Isaiah 43:18 through 19 is telling us that the Lord can do a new thing in people. And so the version of a person that that version of them could be dead. That version of them could be gone. Like we got to know that God has that ability. His word tell us that, right? That he can do a new thing. But the problem I believe that sometimes occurs is that we don't perceive it. All right. And because we don't perceive it, what that means is that we have refused to release a lot of things that we need to like completely separate our minds from, separate our heart from. So that's releasing old hurt. My God, it's releasing like those old expectations of people, um, the old role that you may have assigned to that person, whether it's in your life, in your family. Like, release all of that, release judgment. Just imagine that, y'all. Just imagine if you were able to say, okay, here now and henceforth, I release judgment, expectation, the role that I place somebody in, hurt that may have been caused as a result. Like if we release all of that, then we get closer to being able to perceive the new thing that the Lord is doing in that person, right? It could be the new thing God is doing in you. And that leads us to the next thing we got to understand is that the new thing may not look like the old thing. Y'all, like the thing about the ways of God is that his ways are not our ways, y'all. Like I have, we all have seen these different like dating shows, right? I'm just gonna go there. And there's one particular show that I know I watched maybe 2020. I can't recall when the show began, but it's like it comes on Netflix and these people are like in the pods, right? And it's like, sight unseen. You're going to find this mate, right? That you never see, but all you do is you talk to them, you know, through this pod. And then people are making whole life decisions, right? On just what they are hearing, right? What they're perceiving, right? My God. On just the questions that they ask, the answers that they are receiving, how they're processing it through their own, traumas and life experiences. But none of it is based on what they see, right? It's all based on what they hear, what they perceive. And so, y'all, I say that because one of the things that these people normally say is, well, I don't trust myself. This is a new way for me to figure this thing out, right? Versus me being in the way, my decision, me going for the thing that I always go for. Let me see something new. But y'all, I think that's exactly what this is telling us, is that because his ways are not our ways, that when he springs forth this new thing, we don't perceive it because the new thing may not look like the old thing. And so as we protect, look at that through the lens of a person, what was the question? What if the greatest gift we could give the women in our life, the people in our life, was permission to be new? Y'all, then that means we got to forget the former things, our old ways of looking at things, our old ways of processing things, our old ways of categorizing people, and just say, what if they are brand new, right? Can they not be transformed? Because if we say a person cannot be transformed, y'all, we saying we can't be transformed. And we dare not say that God don't have that ability to do a new thing in all of us and transform us and make us brand new again. Because what God does, his new thing, right? That we need to perceive, right? Because and it's perceiving, because you're not going to just be like, oh yeah, that's that new thing God just did. No, you need to perceive that thing. You need revelation for that thing. You need prayer. You need the word of God. You need obedience and surrender and alignment, because Lord, you would miss it. But the new thing that comes from God rarely looks like what you are used to. Okay. So if used to certain patterns or behaviors, or like, no, I know who that person is. Nah, hey, don't deal with them. I know them. Yeah, no, stay away. Like if that is the mindset, then we are saying a new thing cannot be done. Now, it's not saying to abandon your sense of, like, hey, like, perception, right? It's not saying be naive, because y'all, we got to use the sense that God gave us, but what we're talking about is where there is fruit, right? Where there is fruit. So there's a very specific scenario that we are talking about, but y'all, it requires us to truly forget the former things. That's Isaiah 43:18. Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past of who a person was, y'all. We cannot. It's about alignment, right? And alignment is not a thing that you can say, okay, if this, then that. Alignment is a knowing, it's perceiving, right? It's allowing a new thing to be perceived. It is, get this, y'all, it's choosing grace over memory. Mm. Can y'all imagine that? Can you imagine applying grace to a person rather than applying your last memory of who they are? What happens the moment we do that? Right? And so, as the question began, which is, what if the greatest gift that we could give, and I'm going to say the people in our lives, but certainly the women in our lives, as this is a Mother's Day weekend, The greatest gift that we could give them was permission to be new. I want to first talk to men, whether you're a husband, a son, a father, a brother, a mentor. Speak life and not history. I think the greatest gift that you can give is to speak life instead of speaking their history over them. And then support who that woman, who that person, support who they are becoming. And a part of that means that we have to stop assuming that we already know who people are, right? I know that there is a quote that so many like to rehearse because it was said by the great Maya Angelou. Y'all, I used to have this on my wall, so I know it well. When people show you who they are, believe them the first time. And I say that as a caution because for certain, you want to believe what you have seen because it allows you to understand what people are capable of, right? And so, for that purpose, you're not putting your trust in people, you're putting your trust in God. And so, while there has been evidence of something, we're allowing God to work, right? And if that work that God is trying to do in and through you or in and through a person in your life doesn't yield fruit, then you take that full force, right? When people show you who they are, believe them the first time. But y'all, we got to save space for God to do a new thing. And so to the women who may be watching, to the women, as it pertains to what if the greatest gift that we could give the women, and I just keep saying, or people in our lives is to give them permission to be new. For the women, release the guilt. Release guilt. Ladies, you got to release guilt for outgrowing who you were. I don't know what role somebody put you in, assigned you assigned to yourself, that you feel like, oh my God, I'm abandoning these people, my family, my children, my job, like because I have outgrown the role. My God, I've outgrown that version of myself. You got to release that guilt because that guilt keep you from becoming that new person that you know you are. Because you could become the new person and not believe it and still be stuck in Egypt, right? Stuck in the wilderness. Stuck in the wilderness, y'all, waiting, roaming 40 years for permission to be a different person. You got to stop apologizing for evolving. You owe no apology for evolving into the person that God is calling you to be, who God is is springing forth as this new thing is being done, y'all, right? Isaiah 43:18 through 19. Like, don't apologize for being a new person in God. But y'all, we also got to know that there is a wilderness season. There's a wilderness season because when you are in that becoming, and I actually will say that I think we're always becoming. Like if we are people who humble ourselves before God, right? We should always be becoming because there's always new depths of God. There's always new depths of ourselves. There's always more to know and learn and be and become and perceive. But y'all, we got to be able to embrace that wilderness season, right? Because that wilderness season, right, it is for your preparation. It's not punishment. It's not punishment, it's preparation. Like, what did you learn about yourself, y'all? And I say this like firsthand, right? Firsthand. I'm a person who was in that wilderness season before, right? Right? Where you may have kind of shut out the world, and you were trying to get into the depths of God and the knowing of, who, identity, like identify, like who am I? Who are you calling me to be, right? And the ability to do both of those things, right? to be called forth to step into the identity that God, that new person that God is calling you to be, while still being able to navigate life, that can have its challenges, y'all. But we got to know that you can do two things. What's that thing people say? You can walk and chew gum at the same time. You can do two things, but it's all mindset in how you are perceiving. You have to be able to say that even in my wilderness season, this is preparation for my promise. This is not punishment. It is not punishment for releasing the old version of yourself. It's not punishment for evolving. It's not punishment for doing a new thing, right? Right? It's preparation. Let God define that new identity, that new thing, that new person. But we dare not take the opportunity, right? To not give people in our life permission to be new. Let them be new, right? You may not understand that new. That new may not involve you. That new may not align with who you are. That new may actually call out things within yourself that you don't recognize, right? Or that maybe that you do recognize as your own areas of need, opportunities where you might need to surrender, right? Get in alignment, right? But we cannot, y'all, what we cannot do is we can't stay stuck in our old cycles of thinking and behaving as it pertains to those people in your life. Release it, y'all. And as I said earlier, choose grace over memory. Choose grace. Like what if? Like choosing grace, like that's the thing. I don't understand, y'all. Like who are we to be able to not extend grace, right? It's not excusing anything. What it is it's actually being able to release it to God. It actually take the accountability off your back. Because you can be like, I'm gonna spend some grace here. And grace may look like some distance. Grace may look like some prayer. Grace may look like some action that you actually have to take, right? If that is what you feel called to do. Grace is not all access pass though, at all, right? What's that thing? I hear people say this all the time. Don't try me, try God. My God. Grace is not an all access pass, but it's saving you. And that's what you need to think about too, is saving you. Right? It's keeping you in alignment with God. It's keeping you in alignment with the Father. It's keeping your vision. It's keeping your it's keeping those promises that God has for you, right? Those things that you might be in the midst of right now. It's keeping those things pure. It's keeping those things flowing. It's keeping you flowing, right? My God, y'all. So as I said, as I started off, with Isaiah 43, 18 through 19, forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. He is doing a new thing. Do you not perceive it? All right, y'all, that's it. I just wanted to come back on. I know my live cut short earlier, and I wanted to make sure you heard the word that I wanted to share with you all. I hope that whatever day that you are watching this, whatever day that you came across this live with Holly, if you hear me, that it blesses you, right? And I want you to share it with somebody. Like if there's somebody who you're like, you know what? All they keep seeing is this old version of somebody, or maybe it's an old version of themselves. Y'all share this. Let them know that there is a way that you are able to walk righteously in the new thing that God is doing. But you have to first do what? Perceive it. All right. I love y'all and have an amazing day.